Welcome back to the Impact Show. We are in studio today. Maddie, what episode number is this? Oh, yes. See, we just sat down and I didn't even.
I think it's 37.
Are you sure?
Mm-hmm.
Holy cow. Okay. All right. We're going to go with that. I don't know if it's 37 or not, but I wasn't prepared. Sorry. We got to talking before the show and I forgot to get that. But anyway, Maddie, having said that, Um, let's talk about last week.
Okay.
So we talked to. I'll let you talk about last week
Okay.
takeaways, and I'll also let you introduce our new guest today. So they kind of go together. So
Yes.
yeah, go
Yeah.
together.
So last week we hosted Wes and Lindsay Jackson, and we had a great conversation. If you haven't listened to the episode, you should. It is 2 hours long, but it flows very easy. It's not something that you feel like you have to like fast forward through because you don't want to miss anything. I don't really have a key takeaway. I mean, that whole episode for me was probably one of my favorites. Um, because of the meaningfulness behind everything that was discussed and I mean the impact on the community that the Jackson family has had.
Yeah, I do have a takeaway.
Okay.
So the takeaway that I had was that um, faith faith can get you through a lot of things. And one of the things that's the biggest takeaway that I had was that they had a faith that I cherished, um, just based on where they were in life and where they are and how they what they've been through and how what they've overcome was pretty much immeasurable. And so having a big faith is important. And also too, if you recall, when I asked Wes, "Hey, what is it that you would share with everybody?"
Yeah,
and,
that was good.
and what did he say?
He said, "Do all the things."
Do the things.
Mm-hmm.
Do them all. Do all the things. And so, we published that. It was a tearjerker. And, I think I even cried on the show, which so be it. Make fun of me if you will. But it was a beautiful thing. And also, just the impact that that situation had.
Pun intended.
Yeah, there you go. Anyway, all right. So there's our takeaway. We're gonna hit the ground running this week. Talk to us about today.
So after last week's episode, Wes Jackson shot me a text and said, "Hey, look, I've got this guy, good friend of ours, next door neighbor, um, co-owns Crowe's Barbecue and is on the Chamber of Commerce Board of Directors." So he passed me his number, and here we are sitting with Mr. Mason Carter. So I actually I don't know much. We got kind of caught up right before we started recording. And I sometimes am like, wait, we shouldn't ask these questions yet because we like, let's wait for the show. But so I've learned a little bit about Mason and his family. But I'm excited to get to know you more and learn where you came from, and how you got here and where you're going. So yeah, you want to
Complete stranger.
complete stranger.
So I've never, for the record, I've never met the man. Don't know anything about him other than about 3 minutes that we spent just, hey, how you doing?
Mm-hmm.
That's why this is gonna be fun. So we get to learn real time with our audience. And so Mason, that's great.
Well, my mom always said I've never met a stranger, so
There, that's perfect.
I guess I'll start from the beginning. I'm a father and a husband first. Me and my amazing wife. That I like to say the only thing that she's ever done wrong was marry me. We have 3 beautiful children. We have a 3.5-year-old. We have a 20-month-old, and then we just had a new one 2 weeks ago. And so we are very busy in our house. I am lucky to be one of the co-owners of Crowe's Barbecue. Me and Ben Crowe own it together. Ben is the original owner's son, and me and him went in together to buy him out when he was ready to retire several years ago. And so it's been such a blessing on our family. And the Crows are like a second family to me. I've worked for them. So Crowe's Barbecue, for those who don't know, because this is going to reach further than Madison.
Oh,
Those in Madison know Crowe's Barbecue. We've been here since 1991, and we have a family history of barbecue stretching back into Snellville and then Centerville all the way into the 60s. So they had a store in the Centerville first, and that sold like biscuits and gas and then barbecue. And then they moved to Snellville in the 70s, and then Mr. Phillip opened this one in 1991. And I am very lucky enough to have been my stepdad's just great friends with Phillip, and I just knew him all the time growing up. And when I got ready for a job in high school, and right out of high school, that's where I went. And I've always had a passion for cooking. I've always been a cook. Most kids they'd go home and watch cartoons in the afternoon. My mom would have me in front of the TV watching Rachel Ray's third game. So I've always,
That's funny.
and my parents actually had the first restaurant that I ever worked in when I was 7. And so they had a little Jamaican restaurant because my stepdad was big on missionary and loved Jamaica. And so he had a passion for Jamaican food and cuisine and the culture. And so they had a Jamaican restaurant that they had right here in the square in downtown Madison that me and my wife actually has the space now rented out that we are doing a little something with, but I'll save that for a later day. But it's cool to actually go down there and walk through the place that I used to like, go around when I was a kid, helping clean tables off at 7 or 8 years old. It's pretty cool, And so that was my first experience in a restaurant. And then I just had a passion for food and just care so much about the way flavors combine. And it's really, it's an art as much as it is anything else. And just like you're mixing paints on a canvas, it's an art through action, And so I've just always had a passion for bringing taste together, and it's an experience too. So a meal is only good for a set time, and so if you don't experience it in that time, if you're 10 minutes early or 10 minutes late, you have a completely different experience. As I always think, you're capturing a moment in time when you're eating a fantastic meal. If you waited 10 minutes later to eat that steak, it would not be as good.
I mean,
I'm over here learning so much.
right? This is good.
Oh, this is great.
And so it's I have a passion for food.
I'm not gonna eat the same tonight. I'm gonna be like, honey, we gotta cook this again. I mean, really.
Don't say that.
This might be in trouble.
Yeah, you might be in trouble.
You just need to say this is the best thing I've ever eaten in my life. It was timed perfect.
So the timing's got to be right. You got to have 10 minutes.
That's funny.
Dude, that's so cool. Dude, your passion for food just got me excited. I don't know about y'all. Of course, nobody that's in the room, but I'm literally excited about what.
Well, passion's infectious too.
Yeah.
It spreads like wildfire.
Yeah.
And that's great.
That's good.
And that can be that way with anything.
Yeah.
Whether, if somebody's passionate about cars they work on, they tell you about it and you tell that they're into it, you can't get into it.
Yeah.
So you can almost hear that through through what somebody's about.
That's awesome, dude.
Oh, that's so good.
That is so good.
And so I started working for Phillip when I was 17 or 18, and with a brief, the exception of a brief stint that I spent in western Montana working on a ranch out there, went all the way. Me and Ben lived together for a long time. He was like older brother growing up, and so he needed a roommate for one point in time. I needed a place to go, and so and we were just like just like brothers. We fight like brothers too sometimes, but we love each other like brothers too. So it's always just been the best experience. And I guess it was 2018. Phillip came to me and said, "Hey, I'm thinking about slowing down, retiring, and I want to know." And Ben's mentioned to me before that he'd like you to be his business partner. Is that something you're into? And I was, yeah. I was a young man. I was born in '95, so I guess I was 23 years old. And that stepping in and buying part of a business that's nearly older than I am is pretty cool. It's pretty, it speaks to what he thought of me, and he is, Phillip and Sandra both, they're just like second parents to me. And they're such great role models, spiritually, business, just in the way they raise their family. That I think about one of my 3 kids. It's just anytime that I have questions or anything, it's so good to have those experienced people that you respect and care enough about you to give you thoughtful answers.
Right.
That you can go to and say, "Hey, I'm struggling with this. This is something that I'm encountering. What should I do?" People that'll give you honest feedback and not just, fill you up with smoke, because there's a lot of that too, and I don't want to hear what I want to hear. I want to hear something that I don't want to hear. And I like to see my blind spots.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's good.
That is really good.
That is good.
I've never heard that before.
Yeah, there's a lot of them. We all got them.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's great.
And so me and Ben have been running Crowe's Barbecue since the beginning of 2019 and went through some crazy ups and downs and some
COVID happened.
Yeah.
Yeah.
when you borrow more money than you've ever thought about borrowing, and then at 23 years old, and to take over a business, and then all of a sudden the government starts telling you, hey,
You can't do this.
yeah, you got to shut down. That's a terrifying thought, especially when you have people, and you have people that have been working there 15, 10 years, counting on their mortgages being paid by that business. Now they're looking at you at 23 to say, hey, what are we going to do?
Yeah.
But God has a way of moving, and this community has a way of moving
Yes, sir.
where they just supported us. Y'all, when I tell you that people had us on a weekly rotation where they were buying stuff from Crowe's Barbecue, even if they didn't need it.
Wow.
Even if they weren't even hungry, they'd buy it from us just because they were here to support small business and knew that there was a small restaurant with 10 people over there, or 7 employees and 2 owners.
That needed.
The bills needed to be paid.
Right.
Yeah.
I can't tell you how much this community means to me.
Okay.
Yeah, it's just the way that this Madison in Greater Morgan County steps up for anytime you have families in need,
Every time.
anytime you have businesses in need, this community looks after something, and that's something that a lot of places don't have the privilege of saying.
Yeah.
No.
Oh yeah.
Well, and it takes a strong community to see that the small businesses in Morgan County, when one closes, it makes the whole community suffer.
Oh yeah.
It may not affect you, like if I don't like barbecue, if Crowe's would have had to shut down or whatever. It affects everybody.
Sure.
I mean, a closed door is not good for a community.
And it's small business that are the lifeblood of communities. It's small businesses that support the 7U football team, or 7U baseball team, whatever. It's small businesses that are the jersey
Yep.
on the back, and it's small businesses that support the high school. And there's big businesses that do that too. I'm not saying that, but it's the small businesses that, and look at like the fishing team, they don't have, I don't know their sponsorship levels, but we try to do what we can with the groups in the athletic department, and how much money of that comes from small business versus Coca-Cola. They don't care about and they might give a little bit of money, but do they actually know the parents and see the kids in the community? Right. The kids that come in that we sponsor at the high school, they're in Crowe's Barbecue eating most of the time. I know who they are. I've seen them since they were, I've been there for 12 years now. I'm only 30, but I've been cooking at Crowe's Barbecue for 12 years. Wow. And I've seen them go from being born. I remember when I have this great story that this, one of the guys who was working there, because I have a lot of young guys that work in there. That's their first job out of high school. That's something else I feel is like part of my role is being that first experience with the boss that they get. And I think it's a privilege, to be able to do. And I get to be that first impact on them as a kid, as a young man, because when they're 16, they're young men and they're developing and they're building themselves. And I think it's my privilege to be able to take them and help build them into the young men they become. And so we had this young man that was working there, and he had this girlfriend that he brought in, and we sent him over there to go eat lunch with his girlfriend. And she said, "Do you know who I am?" I said, "Yeah, I know who you are." I said, "I remember when your mama was pregnant, she used to come buy extra pickles from me because that was the crate." And she said, "I guess that's why I like pickles."
You made an impact.
That's not good.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Oh,
and then her boyfriend was working there, and he was a great young man. He's going on to greener pastures now, but it's so funny to see the young men that have come into Crowe's and young women, as they go on to build their lives, and they had that first little restaurant job,
Right.
but then I see them, opening up. Like we have one guy that does perk testing on stuff, and went from working to us to working at this perk testing place, and now he's taken over and bought the business, and he's doing extremely well for it, and he's married now. I'm sure soon he's going to be thinking about kids, and he's all around. I see him every day, riding around doing his perk test and taking his business and doing well. And I don't know what impact we had on him, but I know it has to be something because that was his first job there. And just seeing those stories of those young people that have come in and out, that's just been, it's been a blessing to me. It's made me a better man. It's made me a better father, on what if this was my child, what would I expect their boss to do with them? What would you expect to do as a boss if this was your kid? How would you talk to them?
Right.
What would you find acceptable and wouldn't find acceptable?
And those are the things that you think about.
Yeah, it is. And I didn't think about that until we had kids, really.
Right.
I just thought it was a job. It's just, this is just their job in the summer and the evening times when they're not playing football.
Yeah.
Wow. And I have such a great staff and team where they really work together. And I have some core women that are like second mamas to me that work there, that have been there for years and years, and really run that place and take ownership and pride in it. And they tell me what to do sometimes, and I listen.
You do it. Yeah.
And that's okay. I like it. I like them say, hey, y'all need to get back here and do this. And I say, yes, ma'am. But, and they really see it as helping guide some of these young people into it, because they know too, that this is the first expectation that these young people have with the business world in general. And I've worked in plenty of restaurants, besides working for Philip, where I've seen people that did not get, that didn't get talked to when, a kitchen's a crazy place. It's a fun place, but it's a crazy place. And it's chaos, and it's just everywhere all at once. And they're, and there's been some chefs that I've worked with in different places, up in Athens and stuff that you say some choice words, And so I think about that now as I've gotten older and say, there's a way to talk to a 16-year-old and get on to them without doing that.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think more and more about that of being stern and setting expectations high, but also, we can do it with respect and dignity and have their first, I want them to look back on it and say, hey, my first job, I worked for the best person I ever had. That was the best boss I ever had when I was 16.
Amen.
I wish I could go back, And so I think about that a lot. Now, there are times you have to get on to them, too, because everybody likes a cell phone, But
That's straight.
I do tell all my friends that are in restaurants, we all talk about it all the time, that if just the cell phone towers tomorrow fell apart, restaurants would get so much more done.
Yeah, right.
I think every business, I think every business.
Everyone.
And I think about chunking mine on a window half the time.
Yeah.
If it wasn't so, but it's got its goods and bads. I don't. Also, like even social media, it's definitely got its drawbacks.
Oh.
But I can't tell you what it's done for my small business. Where I can put something out on social media. I can say, hey, we're going to do this special. We've come up with something then. We're doing this. And I'll have half of the tail show up and say, hey, we're ready for it.
Yeah.
So, like, for example, a restaurant that we follow that we think were the guys out in Texas. They were doing beef cheek tacos, something I'd never even heard of, beef cheek tacos. And so talked to my salesman, I was like, hey, what is a beef cheek, first off? And can we get it in? And he's like, yeah. And so I watched some videos. YouTube's the best educator, and I watched this guy's video that we know and how he put it together. And I put it out on Facebook, said, hey, we made a homemade salsa. We did these smoked beef cheek tacos. We had prepared like 150 that day. We sold out in an hour and 12 minutes.
Oh,
Wow.
People were lined up at Crowe's barbecue.
Are you serious?
Wait, lined up.
Beef cheek tacos.
Yeah, it's like this little cut from like the back of the cow, like right here, and it's apparently it has this marble. That's insane. It's like looks like when you see like an A5 Wagyu steak in Costco, you're throwing it and it almost looks white.
Yes.
Just because of that marble, there's that much fat on it.
Yeah.
When you slice it, it's exactly how it looks, and it's just like this little tiny cut, and you got to do a lot of work to get it there. But, buddy,
They're good.
good,
man.
man.
You didn't bring any?
I should have. That's where I made no mistake. You could have got
Great supper.
I probably could. You just give me about 20 minutes. I'll run across town. I'll be right back.
I love this guy.
Yeah, this is good.
Then we're going to Crowe's tomorrow. I mean,
Monday.
Yeah.
And you can't go Monday.
It's Monday.
We get lazier and lazier. We're only open Thursday, Friday, and Saturday.
What?
Yeah, we've been doing that for a couple of years now.
Dang.
It's worked out really good for us.
So that is
That's the mark of a barbecue restaurant. A good barbecue
Mhm.
restaurant's only open on Thursday, Friday, and Saturday.
really.
Unless
mean,
people want
That's
to.
not really true. There's some great places that are open other days, but that's what we found works for us.
But if you can get it every single day, it's not, the craving isn't going to be there.
So like Chick-fil-A does, they encourage demand by being closed on Sundays. We do the same thing, just more so. You know.
So okay. So you're closed a lot of the week. So
We're
what do
closed
you do?
Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday. I work on Wednesdays. So we do. I'll tell y'all about the barbecue at Pros. Nothing you ever get at Pros Barbecue is going to be reheated. It's all that day, made that day for that day. And the way we do that is so like our ribs and chicken, of course, that's only a 4-hour smoke, 3.5. So that's all. We're just getting there at 5 in the morning, rolling them on. And the way we do our bigger proteins, meaning our pork and our brisket, they do a 16-hour smoke, and then we have these electric hot boxes that are like designed to bring the temperature down from when you pull it at 198 degrees back down to serving temp. And so they do a 10-hour rest overnight. So we're cooking from 6 in the morning until 8 or 9 at night, pulling them off, and then we're going all the way back down to serving temperature, and that just soaks back up all that moisture. And that's what makes all the meats so tender, have so much moisture content.
I really should have eaten lunch before this.
Yeah, I'm hungry. And the worst part is I'm craving Crowe's barbecue.
I know you can't
Which-
get it.
and now I can't
Thursday.
get it.
You can't get it till Thursday.
This is
But
ridiculous.
so this is all happening on Wednesday though.
Well, we do that every day. So every day is a cycle. So because nothing ever gets reheated, that we go Wednesday, and we cook Wednesday for Thursday, Thursday for Friday, Friday for Saturday. And then we start it all again next week.
Saturday for impact.
Yeah. Next time.
And so there's so much work, time, and the reason that barbecue restaurants kind of operate that way versus a restaurant like a burger joint or something is because there's so much time involved in the preparatory of it that you almost have to be that way. That you have to, because you're always having to cook. You can't speed it up. You can't speed up. It's not like you can't pull more out of the walk-in cooler and just roll on with it.
Right.
You know, it's also the reason barbecue restaurants sell out a lot.
Well, that's what I said the other day. I seen y'all sold out.
We do that a pretty good bit. And so that's kind of one of the things is a good barbecue restaurant. You either have two choices with barbecue. You can either reheat stuff, and it's not as good, but you can be sunnies, and you can zap it and bring it back up to temp, and that's you end up with an okay product. I mean, there's nothing.
Yeah,
They have a business model, or you can never reheat anything, and you can sell out sometimes. But if I get if we're going through 200 pounds of barbecue, and we get calls all the time, hey, I need 12 pounds of barbecue for today, and then they take 10% of what you had the whole day.
Yeah.
And so it does happen. It does happen. My buddy, he's Carter Schultz. He's a big hog hunter, and he comes into Crowe's all the time when he's back in town. And he told me last time we put the little sold out Crowe on Facebook. He was like, dude, you just people are going to be kind of say some negative things when you sell out. You just need to start bragging about it and tell people the reason why you sell out, because he knows the story, he knows the background. He's out there behind the restaurant when we're cooking sometimes. And so he's just like, you got to tell them why you put it. And so he said, put that thing on a t-shirt and wear it. And so we did. And so now we have the sold out Crowe on some of our t-shirts we wear up there at the restaurant. And because it's a thing of pride, when you're doing things and you're doing them the right way, there's a reason behind it. And a lot of times people don't understand the reason. The reason we sell out is because we're doing the meat the right way.
Right. You're keeping it fresh.
Oh yeah. Well, nothing's reheated. So it's always that way where you're rolling in with, if it was cooked for that day, is that day's.
Yeah. Wow. That's good to know.
That's great.
Yeah, I actually love Crowe's barbecue, and I have eaten it regularly. I did not know. I guess we've never tried to buy it on a Monday, Tuesday, or Wednesday.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Saturday's our busiest day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But we've done Thursday night before, and then Saturdays, of course. But
And there's just something about the weekends that scream barbecue too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Especially when it starts getting cooler outside too.
Mhm.
oh yeah.
Love
But a slab of ribs and a 60-degree more.
Oh man, you are right. I'm starving.
To put that on a shirt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Slab of ribs.
So how many people work for the establishment today?
I think we're right at 9. When we've had some come and go, and we get some part-time people, but we have some catering staff that runs in and out. But You know, we're not a big place, but we kind of keep it small on purpose. There's something to be said for keep it tight and keeping it small.
Yeah.
Better quality management. You know who's working for you. We had the same people. We don't get a lot of turnover. A lot of restaurants have a lot of turnover problem.
That's
And a lot of cycling in and out. We don't get that a lot, you know. And most of the time, when we'll get one or two, and as far as our young crew goes, we'll get one or two young guys that come in there, and they'll stay from when they're 16 to when they go off to college, you know. And so we have to find two more every couple of years, but we got a good staff for them too right now. And so, we've had some newer ones hired here recently, but man, just everybody's just spinning like a top right now. So they're really hammering in on it. It's been a blessing. Our staff is our biggest asset. And you know, there's a lot of restaurants who really can't count on their people to take ownership, and our people do. I tell them all the time, I'm like, if you're not proud of it, don't serve it. Don't serve it in my restaurant. If you are not proud to say, hey, my name is Mason Carter and I cooked this food for you today, I don't want you to serve it. I don't care if it goes in the trash can. If you burn it, throw it away. You know, if you're burning a lot of stuff, I mean, you're gonna have to talk about it. But I tell them all the time, if you're not proud of it, don't serve it in my restaurant.
That's
Wow,
great.
That's crazy.
And I try to inspire that in them, where they really take pride in what they're doing, because barbecue's different than cooking anything else. If you went back 100 years, we'd be doing it the exact same way, pretty much. Yeah, we wouldn't have gas ovens, we'd probably have gas ovens 100 years ago, but you can go 200 years ago. That you're always going to have, everything's wood fired in our restaurant. So we don't do pellets. We don't have no computers on our thing. The newest technology we have is a thermometer. And so
That's huge. That's awesome.
it's everything. We had the same family for the last 18 or 19 years that have been bringing the wood, and there's one guy, and he's got like 6 sons, and their grandkids are now in the logging operation. They bring wood every Saturday, and we go through.
I saw that Facebook
lazy.
post, I think.
Yeah, now we're selling our blend of wood, and we have like a special blend that's a certain amount hickory, pecan, and white oak that we run, and so we but yeah, now we're selling it in bags in case. It was like we get a lot of that sometimes. Like, hey, can we buy some of y'all's wood to take home and smoke something? And of course you can. Well, we'll just start putting it in bags now and advertise it. So.
Yeah.
But we've had the same family that's been supplying wood for nearly 20 years. And so that's a blessing to have them. We couldn't do what we do without them. But if you step back in time, it's the only cooking where the technology is the same. It's the exact same as it was forever.
Man, I've learned so much in the last 10 minutes about Crowe.
It's been 30,
Has it really?
29 minutes.
Jeez. We're going to be here forever.
So, but I want him to also go more into, you know, he obviously Crowe's barbecue. If you don't know Crowe's, then you certainly don't live in Morgan County or some of the surrounding counties. But, you know, I know you're also with the Chamber of Commerce, and I feel like people don't understand what a Chamber of Commerce does. And I know that you're passionate about it. So let's kind of.
Well, thank you for bringing that up. I'm the chair-elect of the Chamber of Commerce this year. Mayor Ainsley is the chair. And so Shay, Daniel was the president, and she just does a fantastic job. But yeah, I'd love to talk about the chamber. The chamber's there to support business, and the pretty much the overall health of the community, because the chamber's there to realize that, hey, that we need these small businesses and big businesses, and the community has to grow in business to grow in other ways. And it's the lifeblood of the community is commerce. And so it's how you make connections. And so the chamber's there to, number one, support business. And then like things that we do on like an actual level that like, hey, I've seen impact in my business. We brought in Meta to do like trainings, networking events. The social media trainings have been super fantastic. Like just like, hey, this is the way you can work the algorithm. This is the way you can get engagement, which engagement and impact go hand in hand, you know. And so this is the way you can get engagement with people to say, to reshare, to get more views on something. So if I put a barbecue sandwich out on Facebook, I know how to to market that to a certain demographic where I can get more eyes on it, and hopefully it makes more people hungry where they come on in. And so that's been great. That's been like a huge plus on my business is just having the people from Meta come in and that Shay's brought in. The networking events. People don't realize how much a handshake makes anymore. You know, that used to be big 20 years ago. Well, now with, you know, our phones, that we lose it. You know, we've gained something, but we've also lost something almost interpersonal. You know, we've lost how much a handshake means, how much it is to look somebody in the eyes and tell them you appreciate them. You know, that means so much in business, and people people that do that in their business now, those are the ones you see thriving. Old school methods are old school because they worked.
Nothing's changed.
Nothing's changed.
No.
We just have a bigger platform to talk off of.
We talk about that a lot. I mean, we talk about how you can spend hundreds of thousands of dollars in marketing and advertising and whatever, but if you make a relationship and you grow a relationship and take care of a relationship with someone, that's gonna do way more wonders for your business. But again, it's that face to face.
It's that face to face, you know, and restaurants are so interesting in their marketing too. It's such a peculiar business model. Oh, it's fun business model. Don't get me wrong. It's my passion. It's where my heart's at. It's in the food, in cooking, you know. But it's just a funny business. It's people that I talk to about restaurants. We always talk about how it's one of the few businesses where you and I guess there are other businesses you really got to bat 1,000. You know,
100%.
you've got to bat 1,000.
Yep.
Because you can eat, and I've caught myself saying this. My wife has caught me in this because she's one of those people like we're talking about that calls you on your blind spots. Where I've said, well, you know, we've gone to this restaurant a bunch, but the last time I ate there, I didn't really enjoy it, so I don't really want to go there. And she said, Mason, you talk about how that is frustrating to you sometimes. You know, not that every meal should be perfect. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that every meal should always be the best meal you've eaten. I want to grow. I want every time you come to Gross Barbecue to be at the best time you've ever been there. And I love when people tell me that after 35 years, hey, this is the best ribs I've had either ever. That melts my heart. You know, that's what I'm after. But restaurants, you really got to bat 1,000. So you can eat there 30 times and it'd be awesome every single time. And you have one bad experience or, this was a little too much salt on this, or there was, you know, and things like that happen, of course. But you do that and you probably lost that customer forever.
Yeah.
And you do that too many times, you're going to go out of business. I don't care if you've been there 35 years from now.
Right.
It's important to get it right every single time. And something else that I've told my guys is there's no such thing as good enough. I don't want to hear that in my shop. You know, we're here to have a good time. I want to enjoy being at work, but we're here for the customer. And there's no such thing as good enough. If you didn't really like the way that looked coming off the grill and it wasn't up to our standards, there's no such thing as good enough. And I just don't even want to hear those words. Good enough. I've heard that, you know, in other places and things. And, you know, in my own life, if I'm working on something at the house and I just nail it up or whatever in my shade tree carpentry, you know, and I'm saying, that's good enough. But in a restaurant, that doesn't need to exist. It has to be perfect. You got about 1,000.
I like that. That is really encouraging. You should come and do some leadership development training with us because that right there is on point.
Yeah, it is.
I really like that.
You got about 1,000.
He got to about 1,000. Wow, that's good. So you're digging on the chamber over there, and I keep wanting to go back to Crow's Barbecue.
I know. Well,
I'm good to talk about whatever.
Yeah.
Well, so when you talk about the chamber supports small business. Well, we Impact Service Group, on the Impact Show, we are a small business. Well, the Impact Service Group is funding the Impact Show, kind of one and the same. But we are a small business here in our community, and we are not affiliated with the chamber. So maybe we should be. So are you recruiting today?
I can definitely reach out. So
he's like, here's.
I'm always recruiting for the chamber.
All right. So tell me what I'm a business guy. Tell me what's in it for us. What's in it for Impact?
Well, you know, number one, the networking opportunities are fantastic. I've gotten so much business since I've been involved with the chamber from, you know, just shaking hands at the chamber meetings. We do business, you know, business breakfasts, and we do like they do like a women in business luncheon and stuff like that. But how much business do you get from They know you, they know Jeremy. And then something happens at their house, who are they going to call? Some stranger they found on Google, or they're going to call you?
They're gonna call
They're
me.
going to call you. You know, and if so, how many times has it happened with me where I've been involved with the chamber and somebody needs, you know, lunch for their 150 staff, and the first person they call is me because we've been talking at the
Right,
chamber.
right.
Networking's everything. I mean, and I'll probably say that, repeat myself a little bit, but it's one thing that I believe is that your network and who you're around, who you talk to, how many hands you shake, and how many people you look in your eyes. You know, that's everything. That's a number one benefit. Another level is the training and business opportunities at the chamber that we put on, that we use the chamber money to put on, bring Meta in to teach you how can you use Facebook to develop your business better. You know, we've talked about having, you know, we've talked about, this is something we haven't done yet, but we've talked about like bringing in tax strategists to say like, hey, we're going to put on a meeting to have like, hey, how can you optimize your tax strategy for your business? Just things that the community as business leaders, that, I mean, I'm great at cooking. I'm not great at tax strategy. You know,
Yeah.
it's just numbers to me, and I just hope that they're all in the green at the end of the day.
I love it, man. I love it. He's so humble and good. So,
I love a chamber because yes, it's networking, but they offer things that you don't even realize that you need. You know, it's like
oh yeah.
everything gets put on the back burner, you know, a tax, you know, seminar. You don't even realize that you might need that or want to learn about it, but they're looking at they're watching other chambers, bigger chambers. They're looking at, you know, on the national level of what are up and coming trends. They're doing all of that for you so that they can educate you
Wow.
later. And that's why
It is
a
just
chamber.
education.
So
You know, it's business education.
So
It's
this
a
is
lot.
education, training, and networking.
Yeah, that's
Those
pretty much.
three things.
Those are the main three things.
Yeah. So we definitely need that at Impact Service Group. So if you will, after the show, we'll get linked up.
Yeah, for sure.
To get us signed up.
Yes, sir.
So now the first question I asked was what's good for us about the chamber. Now I'll ask, what can Impact do for the chamber?
Well, I mean, just this is something great where I can come on here and talk to y'all
Yeah.
about
Well, you're
about
talking
what
to
the
the
chamber
community.
does.
You're talking to the
I'm talking to the community
Mhm.
about, this is getting it out there.
Yeah.
You know, this is what, you know, and I'm not the best at talking to people, but this is it's a learning experience for me.
That's
could have
why.
fooled me,
I bet.
bro. I think you've done great.
And so, but just getting out there and just talking about it, being in the community. We got so many events that we put on. Like we're doing a big golf tournament, the Sweet South golf tournament that we're putting on in March. And so that's a big thing we got coming on. We're bringing back the Taste of Madison next year, which is an event that Madison hasn't done for a long time, but we're bringing it back. And so that's going to be super fun. Showing up to chamber events and just being active in the community, because the other thing I feel like that's great with the chamber is nobody knows as a small business person what you're going through except other small business people.
Yeah.
That's not your competition. That's your support network.
Amen.
You know, and so you know what it's like to have a bad month. I know what it's like to have a bad month. And when you can talk about that, bounce ideas off the wall, that's what you need.
That's good.
You know,
Good.
everybody's got to have a support network.
Yeah.
And so, you know, it's you. My wife gets tired of hearing about Crow's Barbecue, so I talk to my other chamber members about what we got going on, and say, hey, our labor costs a little heavy right now, but I don't want to cut my guys' hours back. What have you done about that?
Mm-hmm.
Right.
You know?
No, that's brilliant. No, I like it.
I love it.
Gotta love it. Good. So I'm sure she's over there scrolling for some leadership questions, and I just have to ask. I mean, as 9 people or 10 people or 20 people, it's mostly the same, right? You have to be a leader, and there's no doubt in my mind after just listening to you, you care about your people
A lot.
Yeah, I love everything about it. I'd love to work for somebody like you, and I love doing these interviews because we bring leaders in, we sit them down on the couch, and we sit back and we let them just pour their heart out like you've done today. And while I'm doing that, I'm picking up things that I'm like, man, I would want to work for that guy.
Yeah.
Right. And so, you know, you're over here pouring your heart out, and I'm like, man, that's what I aspire for. You aspire to be a good leader.
I aspire to be and a better growing leader every day. I think of leadership as a moving target.
And one thing you said, don't stop it for 1 second. One thing you just said to a while ago, you said, I want to be the best boss that I can be. And so, where does that come from? What did you work for someone once in your life that was a good boss, or did you work for someone that was a bad boss and you said, I'll never do that?
I never really had that experience. There were definitely some, sometimes I worked for different people that I saw things I did not like. But I'd say most of where I want to be as a leader and an employer and a friend comes from seeing the best of different people that I've worked for and trying to merge them into what I want to be. And so I've kind of picked and choose little different things, supporting my team. I've listened to what my team members have said on where I can grow better. I ask them every year at their end of the year meeting, what can I do better for you? Because if a leader won't say he's wrong sometimes and they won't apologize if they are, and they're not really worth following. And that's one thing that I believe. And so I nobody's perfect except Jesus, And so I ask them every year, and I ask every single person from the guy who's been working there 3 weeks to the person who's been there 17 years. What can I do better for you? Wow. Where are my faults? Where are my blind spots?
Yeah.
What am I doing what can I do to serve you better? Y'all talk about servant's heart a lot, and that's something that I care about a lot. I think of my role as serving my employees and my team members, and their role is serving the customers. Yeah, I serve the customers indirectly, but I serve them and they serve the customers.
So much wisdom.
Most of it's just stuff I've heard people a lot smarter than me say, and I regurgitate it.
He's so humble too. I love you, dude. I love it.
That's great.
And so, and I tell my friends, I'm probably say, 17 times. My wife said, I mean, quit doing that. So, I tell my friends that you have to take pride in you have to take the moments where you get fed as a business leader, because there's few and far between. And I'll tell a little story if y'all want me to. That this is something that's probably one of the moments that have impacted me the most. So we had this new guy who'd been working there a little bit, and this has been a while ago. And I didn't know a whole lot about him, but I knew he had a good work ethic, great work ethic. Showed up early, always working, never saw him on the cell phone, just nose to the grindstone sort of young man. And not a kid, 22, 23 years old, but young man. Good young man. As I kind of gained a little more knowledge about him, I know he had a different upbringing. That wasn't always the easiest. He had some things happen in his life. We've all had hiccups and road bumps. Probably a month into working for me, we had the pleasure and opportunity of serving the governor. And I never tell, and this is something that we've had happen 6 or 8 times, nothing crazy, but we have some friends that have done different hunting events and stuff, and we've gotten the pleasure of serving the governor a couple of times. And so you kind of grow numb to it on the 4th or 5th time. That, yes, it's important, it's so great, but it's not as cool as the first time. The first time you do it, you're like, whoa.
Right.
And so we were doing the dove shoot for the governor, and that he was going to be eating our food, and I don't ever tell him until like the morning of, and I'm like, everyone's got to be right, you got about 1,000, but this one, we're serving the governor. So like
really,
really, really. And I saw his face change. So we were loading the grills in the morning. Saw his face change. Went on about our day, and I could tell like something kind of hit him a little bit. He told me, he said, "Oh, can I call my dad and tell him?" I said, "Yeah." And he told me a little bit later on, 24, 30 months before that, he actually was in a bad spot. And him and his girlfriend were living in a tent hiding in the woods homeless. And 30 months later, I'm going to tear up talking about this. But 30 months later, he was cooking the food for the governor. And he got to call his dad and tell him. And his dad told him how proud he was of him. That's a 30-month difference. He was homeless for a little stretch. So he was cooking the food for the governor that day. He got to call his dad. You know how that kind of hit me as a business owner? as a father, as a Christian.
Mhm.
And so that's my favorite story. That's my favorite. I mean, that's one of my, and it's a more recent story, but that's one of my favorite stories that I've had. And you got to take those moments. You got to take those moments as a business owner. Oh, and I said, you don't know how much that you telling me that just fed me. I mean, you powered me for the next 6 months.
Oh yeah, yeah. That charges you up.
Yeah.
You know, the impact that you have on people is the reason that you do it. You know, someone asked me like, "Why did you start a business?" And some people say, "Well, I wanted to make money or retire. Or I want." Most people will say, uh, "You know, I want to be my own boss." And I'm like, "Do you understand? If you run your own business, you're everyone is your boss."
You want to work as hard as you've ever worked for the least amount of money you've ever made?
Yeah,
Go open your own business.
yeah, go on a business.
Yeah.
But anyways, that's so it's so good that that feeds you, and so you're a young man.
Yes, I got a lot of road in front.
I'm impressed, and I'm about to be 40, so I don't have a whole lot on yet. But at 30, I was not where you are, and so just thinking over here as you speak, and the things that make you tick, and that's why I asked earlier, you know, where did that come from? Where was that born? Because it's not in every 30-year-old.
It's not, and there is some of that in the newer generation, but you know, from what I see on my end, I've been privileged where we've had some great people, but I think every generation calls the next one down. You know, they don't want to work anymore, and they don't want to do this, and they don't want to do that. But I think that time is cyclical, you know, and you always get the get off my grass moments, you know, from the old men who they don't know how we walked uphill both ways too. My young guys at the shop are some of the hardest workers I've ever met.
Get off my grass moments.
Yeah.
How about that? What do you mean?
I just mean that sometimes you get this view from the older generation, that the older people, the younger people are all lazy or all this or all that, and that hasn't been my experience. And I'm sure there are some out there. There always going to be lazy people. It just hasn't been my experience. And now, you know, a 16-year-old boy's going to goof off and do this and that, but you know, as far as my actual employed staff that are my 20 to 25-year-old people working, I have been some of the hardest. I had one young man. I try to get out of the habit of calling them kids. They're young men. That engine blew up his car, and he didn't tell anybody for a while. And he was walking 2 miles to work back and forth every day. 2.3 miles. He told me. He said, and I asked him. I said, "Would you like me to start picking you up?" He said, "No, I need to lose the weight."
Wow.
Just wanted to walk 2.3 miles back and forth.
So
And I mean, he eventually got back on his way, but.
So tell me about your hiring, because where my head's going right now, and I was telling you, you're sitting here saying you haven't seen a lot of that, and then I'll talk to other people. I see it all the time. So I'm wondering if you have a different hiring program or a different method.
Not really. No, I'm fast to hire, but fast to say, hey, I don't think your culture matches you.
Okay. So you hire fast, fire fast.
Yeah. I think that's probably a good way to phrase it. Yeah. We've had people that have come in there and like I can tell, like, hey, you just want a paycheck, and this is not the place for you.
Wow.
If you know, a paycheck is a paycheck, and all of us got to eat. But if you don't care about what you're doing, and you're just here just to punch a
You're in the wrong place.
You're in the wrong place.
Wow, that's good.
Well, and that shows pretty early on.
Oh, it's super early.
You know,
you can tell in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
If they want to work there or not.
Right. Anywhere. I mean.
Yeah. Anywhere. Yeah, you can tell in 2 weeks if somebody. Everybody's good for the first week.
Wow.
But you catch when they're buying when they're buying what you're selling, when your team members are buying what you're selling, say, hey, this is the reason why we do this. They're asking you things like, why do we, you know, salt the ribs in this particular way? Why do we do that? When they're buying what you're selling, that means so much, and you can just tell them like, hey, you're gonna work out, you're gonna be good. If they show up late in the first 2 weeks, I can tell. I mean, I've always been raised on the thing where you're either an hour early. You know, it's better to be an hour early than a minute late.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah.
And so, your actions are a language. And so, if you don't care enough about your time and other people's time to be on time, then I can already tell how much you care.
Right.
Especially if that, and I'm not saying that people can't be late sometimes, because that happens. People's car breaks down, or things happen. You get caught up in the morning. Lord knows that I've seen my fair share of it with 3 kids under 3, or 3 kids 3 and under at my house. That sometimes you get caught up, and it is what it is, and sometimes you're pushing it to get out the door. But especially with your first 2 weeks or me saying, what are you going to do?
Mm-hmm.
Am I going to catch you, when you're supposed to be working, shoving off and trying to hide? That's what I can't stand. And it's the only people that I've ever said, hey, I don't think our culture matches here, is people that will, like, if you're shoving off work on other team members instead of being the one to say, hey, let me jump in and do it so they don't have to.
Right.
I can tell that almost immediately.
So you built a servant culture there.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Oh, in the first 2 weeks, I make sure that the new people see me doing 2 things.
What's that?
Wash dishes and clean the bathroom. That way they know the owner does these 2 things.
Yeah.
There's nothing that I'm too good for.
Yeah.
I'm here for it. I'm here to get the work done.
Yep.
And I love the work. I'm passionate about the work.
Uh-huh.
And a restaurant has to be, number one, spotless clean, or else I don't want to eat there. And so it better be clean and fine, and so if you're not passionate about the other stuff that is the supporting for cooking the delicious food, it's not just about delicious food.
Right.
Because if it's not exceedingly clean and you're not telling people how much you appreciate them, and you don't have that customer service part of it, then the rest of it doesn't matter how good the food is. If you don't feel like you're appreciated when you go in there and the place ain't clean, you're not going to go back. Or at least I won't.
It's so true. I mean, absolutely.
The stuff that he is spraying over here would change businesses. I can think of so many that would just listen to the stuff that he's saying.
I know.
And I mean, Lord knows, I guess Crowe's does an amazing job. I mean, obviously they do an amazing job, but it's like, where does that come from? And it comes from that right there. The things that he just said. He said that he makes sure his people see him do 2 things that no one else would want to do, but he does it, and therefore they're okay with doing it. So he's not a high horse. It's servant leadership. It's right there for servant leadership.
And the Bible talks about it a lot. You got to humble yourself. I mean, y'all are going to say this good stuff about me. My head's going to be so big I can't fit out.
No,
So,
well, you stay humble. That's fine, but know that what you're doing is absolutely impacting your restaurant, all the people around you, and now it's going to impact this audience.
Mm-hmm.
And whether it's 5 people or 10, or like Maddie and I say, with it impacts one person, and what you're telling us right now will absolutely turn somebody tomorrow.
Yeah.
There's some business owner out there that's going to listen to this, and they're gonna probably message Maddie and say, that dude right there is spitting, spraying, whatever wisdom.
Yeah.
And so it's from above. That's not earthly wisdom either. That's heavenly wisdom.
and I feel like most of that comes from me just listening to our elders. I mean, listening to the people who've been doing it for years and years. Mr. Phillip ran that business for 25 years before me and Ben ever took over, and so all the wisdom that he had from 25 years of everything. And I mean, how many, and I count my failures better than I learn more from my failures than my successes. And so how many times can you figure out how not to do it before you figure out how to do it right? And if you can skip all that by listening to your elders tell you, and the people that you respect, your support team that's been through it before, if you can hear that first and skip all that having to learn it the hard way yourself,
Right.
what a benefit, and so if you just keep your ears open and
Lips closed.
sometimes
Yeah.
I haven't figured out that second part, but
It's not easy.
no, it's not, it isn't. And so restaurants, I think of them. I think you're a volunteer fireman, right?
Mm-hmm.
I am too. I've been on the Madison Fire Department since I was 18. And I love doing that. I feel like that's like what I do is my community, like give back. There's nothing in it except to help, and I love doing that. I joke around, and I'll say I start fires in the start fires in the morning for a paycheck and put them out at night for free.
Oh.
More fucking oxymoron.
That's funny. That's pretty good.
And but I've been doing that a long time, and the chief out there, Brooks Pennington, has been so awesome, and I'm glad to call him a close friend. And so that's been something that's in fire class. You know, you learn that a fire has a triangle. It's got its oxygen, it's got its fuel, and it's got heat. You take away any of those three things, it falls apart. I think of business as the same way. You have your clients. We like to call them guests at the restaurant because we think of them as our guests. I like people to feel like they're coming into my backyard to eat at my house. You know, that's what I want them to feel like when they come in. So you have your guests, you have your team, and you have your leadership. And if any one of those parts is slacking, the whole restaurant will fall apart. And so it's just the same way as in the fire service. Is anytime that you have one of those elements that's not there, and the whole thing can't function. And it doesn't matter how long you've been around. If any of those start slipping, that you will not have a business.
Right. No,
That's good.
that is good. You could also, there's many ways you can sort that out for the business. But yeah, that's really good. Never heard it put that way.
Well, so we're coming up at an hour.
Are we seriously?
Yeah, 58 minutes.
Time well, that's what you're having fun.
Oh, I know. I'm telling you. And so I think one of the questions that we always ask, or we've started asking everyone, is, well, one, obviously, what type of impact do you want to have on the world? But I feel like you've kind of given your impact. But the other one is, if you could tell our listeners one thing to take away from this leadership lesson that you can...
He's definitely given a leadership lesson.
Right.
A very good one at that.
What is the one thing that you would tell the listeners?
I'd probably say to be bold. Sing karaoke, even don't worry about if people are going to laugh at you. Dance with your wife, and don't worry about that. You know, start a business even though it might fail, or probably will fail. Be bold, you know. Walk through open doors head first. And don't worry about the closed ones.
That's
good. So it makes me think, wow, that's really good. So it makes me think, when you say be bold, I heard a man, and it was recently, I've heard it a lot, but where, you know, you're one generation away from being forgotten, right? And so I always tell people, dude, do it, right? And it goes back to what Wes said last week, where he said, do the things, right? Do everything, because life is so short. And in James, it says life is a vapor, right? And so you're just here for a little while, and then you're gone. And so when you say be bold and courageous, I would even add that to you, because you just don't know how long you've got. And I was telling somebody this week, I met a guy that maybe I can start discipling him some, but 22-year-old kid, he's going off into ministry. And I pulled out for an hour and had breakfast with him and a cup of coffee early one morning this week. And I told him, I said, man, if I could, that one thing like Maddie's talking about, that one thing that you could share with somebody, other than the gospel, of course, because I'll always say gospel, right? Get to know Jesus. But secondly, what I would say is to understand the value of time. And when you really understand the value of time and how short your life is and how little bit of time you have, the time that you do have, you must invest, not spend, but you must invest. And so you think, and again, I'm adding to what you said be bold, because when you begin to understand the value of time, your boldness meter goes up. You know, you get a little more courage because you start realizing that time is slipping away. And one time I did a time study, and it was like, you know, if I live another, let's say I live another 30 years, 35 years, I'm 40. So 75 is the median age for average white male, healthy, whatever, 75 years old. Well, that gives me 30 something years, right? So anyway, you sleep 8 hours a night, so you end up doing all the math, and you really don't have as much time as you think. Yeah. And so that's when my courage level began to raise, when I started understanding that time is running out. And so anything that you want to do in life, and anything you want to accomplish, you better get after it, because you never know.
You never know.
And so, man, being bold is so important. It's such an important part of that, and you have to understand that the time that you have left, you can choose one. What is the opposite of being bold?
Timid.
Timid.
Yeah.
Man, who wants to be that, right? So be one or the other.
Right.
Don't be.
Well, both are hard, and you got to choose your hard in life. So, do you want to not care what people think and step out on that limb and be bold? Because I do.
Yeah.
I want to be the one who's doing something. And the only people who criticize you for being bold are those that wish they could.
That's so true.
It's true. The ones that sit on the sideline and
The kids in the back who don't want to sit at the school dance because they're too cool for it. Yeah. Get out there and cut a rug.
There you go. There you go. Man, I appreciate you sharing.
Well, thank y'all so much for having me.
I hate it that we've run out of time. Lord,
We have to do another one.
we're definitely doing another one.
Yeah.
No, I think you should come back.
I can do that.
I mean that.
Anytime.
So is there any final thoughts that you want to say before we sign off?
I don't think so.
Eat at Crowe's.
Yeah.
Eat at
Crows.
Crowe's.
Eat at Crows and join the chamber.
There you go.
Crowe's Barbecue is definitely going to get some business off of this, because I'm going to tell you something. I've been eating there before, and I've eaten there a lot. In fact, I love it, but I've never really appreciated it as much as I will now.
But one thing that about Crows is a lot of people, unless you're my friend and you know me or you know us, you don't get to see how the sausage is made. And so if you step out that back door, and when next time y'all are there, I'll be glad to take y'all on a tour. And I've tried to get better about showing customers that are new, like, hey, come here, let me show you something cool.
Yeah.
We're cooking out here, and we have 2 giant smokers that are hand built out back. Wow. And all that wood around and that smoke flavor and seeing how
The whole experience.
the whole experience. And if you don't ever step out that back door, you don't ever see it. And so I'm trying to get better. And one of those things we talked about, growing and figuring out what can I optimize and do better. And so that's one thing we're trying to do is get better about A, telling our story, and B, showing people.
Yeah.
This is what it takes.
Well, somebody's going to really appreciate it now. Honestly, after hearing this, I'm going to eat the Crowe's barbecue differently.
Yeah.
Like, even the coleslaw's good, right? He didn't even mention all that stuff. But, like, the stew's good. Everything's good. But the fact that you have so much passion for what you do, it makes me appreciate it more.
Well,
and so share that. And we're going to share it right here on Impact Show.
For
you
sure.
know?
Yeah.
So,
It's great.
looking forward to it. Thank you so much for coming and sharing, man. We've been, it's been delightful.
Well, thank y'all for having me. I really appreciate
It
it.
was like a blind date, you know?
We did good though. We
This
scored.
was great.
Yeah, I'm glad to say I've made 2 new friends.
Absolutely.
100%.
Absolutely.
And we'll be joining that chamber. So, anyway, we're gonna sign off now. Thank y'all for Maddie. You got anything else?
No, I'm good. I'm this was awesome.
Eat Crowe's barbecue.
Eat Crowe's barbecue.
Join the chamber. It's all good. So, and thank you for your service in fire service.
Well, thank you. You
So-
too. It's important.
Oh yeah. Signing off. See y'all.
Signing off.